telescope is an extension of its owner that allows us to peer into the universe to see nature on the grandest scale, with wonders that boggle the imagination. Okay, this is a Galaxy log for November of 2021, and we have it subtitled, "Finally!" Exclamation marks. Meaning, we finally had more than one clear night and some really good nights. And so I was able to capture some interesting galaxies from two different telescopes. And so it was, like I said, it was great that we finally were able to get out there and on multiple nights and observe much of the autumn sky. And speaking of the autumn sky, this was actually, I went to the pair of galaxies, NGC 7332, which and 7339 here in Pegasus, in Western Pegasus. And it was kind of like say goodbye. This was kind of first view of the night. And before the winter sky set in and then early spring. So I figured I'd go for this really nice pair of galaxies. Here's from Stellarium Web, a closer up view of where the galaxies are located. Very easy to find these pair of galaxies. And if you're just doing star hopping, really easy to find, situated between these two fairly bright stars here, which are seen pretty easily in most finder scopes. So here's the near view image. The date was November 2nd, and here are the particulars of these galaxies. One is 7332 is a much brighter galaxy, and they're similar in size, but in distance, they're not like physically connected. You can see here's the distance difference. They're about 6 million light years, but they are neighbors. There's no doubt that they're neighbors in space. You think of the vastness of the universe and distance between galaxies, 6 million light years was pretty darn close. So first galaxy we'll talk about here is, before I forget that, here's the telescope I used. It was the 8.2 inch f3.9 Dobsonian with a coma corrector, a 7mm eyepiece, 127 magnification, and the sky conditions were very good that night. It was dry. There was no wind. The scene was real good. And so I was able to get a really nice view here of the first view of the night. And here's the first galaxy, the brightest galaxy is 7332, which is right here. Striking bright, fairly bright stellar nucleus, bright core region. It sticks out very well, even in smaller telescopes than the 8-inch here. Even in like a 4-inch, say a 4-inch refractor like that, it's vivid. It sticks out very well, and it really extends pretty well too. You can see the surface brightness. Here's the surface brightness, 12.6, which is pretty high. And so the galaxy is a really nice galaxy to view, even in smaller telescopes. And it really did, the 8.2 inch did really well with this view of this galaxy. And then you have the much dimmer and thin NGC 7339. And it's a little over 12th magnitude. The surface brightness is a little low. And the sky conditions aren't real good. And you'll see maybe even in this size telescope is basically that inner region of the galaxy, the brightest part of the galaxy. But the sky conditions were pretty good this night, and the telescope was able to, at this magnification, was able to show some nice extension of this galaxy. They're almost perpendicular. It's almost perpendicular with the two galaxies here. It almost points to the core area of 7332. But yeah, it extended well. Not quite as as big as 7332, but it extended very well. It's very, you don't really see a central bulge with it, so it's very thin. And that inner region, you know, even with direct vision, you could see that. But we use averted vision, and it really, the Galaxy extends much better. So it's pretty neat pair to look for. And of course, this time of year, it does get darker earlier, and you can get a good view of them as they're fairly high up in the sky. But it won't be much longer. We're particularly this side of Pegasus, the western side of Pegasus, we're pretty low in the sky. So I figured I'd get a nice final view of this pair, and really enjoyed the view. This was I could have gone higher magnification, particularly in observing 7332, because it was high surface brightness. But I thought the overall field and so on, and the pair itself really looked good at this magnification. So that's what I did this near view image with. Our next galaxy, we head into Andromeda, and it's the galaxy NGC 108. And from Stellarium Web, here's a closer up view of where NGC 108 is located. Pretty easy star hop if you're doing a non-go-to scope. And here's my near view image. This was from November 5th. And here's the particulars of this galaxy. It's, you know, it's 12.1 mag. It's a little bit low surface brightness, and it's not real big. Here's its type, and its distance is out there pretty far. It's over 200 million light years away. And this night, I was using the 12-inch f4 Dob, and the eyepiece was a 3.5 millimeter ultra wide or extremely wide field eyepiece, which gave me 343 power. And this night, sky conditions I ranked excellent. It was from a darker site than from where I was observing the pair of 7332 and 7339. So here, with my near view image, is the galaxy. And even at 343 power, you can see it's not real big, what I could see. It's a barred spiral, face on, and had a very bright core or nucleus area. It stood out. That stood out really well. And there was some slight extensions going from, you could say, northeast to southwest. And it really, like, as I viewed the galaxy more and more, and seeing was pretty good overall. But then seeing sometimes can really snap in and really bring out some more detail. That's what I always say, when you're looking at galaxies, you really want to do it with patience if you're trying to pull out detail. And because seeing will come and go, and even on nights where the scene seems to be pretty darn good overall, it can become really, really good. We're really steady. And so, you know, studying this galaxy a little more with more time, I was able to bring out some subtle detail. And the detail was the the two arms or bars on each side of the nucleus, which made this elongated look to it. There was a subtle view that I could see. A larger telescope than the 12, it would be like, say, a 16-inch on up at this magnification would have no problem bringing out the bar structure. But I could see it. I mean, I'm not saying that I couldn't see it, but I could see it. So what I have here in this near view image pretty much represents what was viewed in the eyepiece that night. But it's a neat little galaxy that I never viewed before, and I thought it would be pretty cool to go for it. And the conditions were good for the 12-inch, and yeah, you know, you probably see it in a smaller, at 12th magnitude, you could see it in a smaller scope, but to get out some of the subtle detail. I mean, the nucleus would probably stand out pretty well, say, in an 8-inch telescope, but to bring out that subtle detail of the bars, the bar structure, requires a little bit larger telescope and certainly dark skies. Okay, the last galaxy that, actually a trio of galaxies that I viewed for this galaxy log is NGC 315, which is in Pisces, and it's like right on the border of Andromeda in Pisces. Here's a closer up view of where NGC 315 is. And here's actually a split screen of views from the galaxy log date of 11/2/2021 and also 11/5/2021. And here on the left is the view that first night with the 8.2-inch Dob and with the 7mm eyepiece, which gave me 127 magnification with the coma corrector. And as I mentioned previously, the sky conditions were very good. And then the other view is with the 12-inch f4 Dob from a different location, and a different night, of course. And the eyepiece with a 6mm, 200 magnification, and the sky conditions, as I rated that night, was excellent. And it's, like I said, it's actually a trio. NGC 315 is actually it's not too bad. It's fairly bright. It's over 11th magnitude. Surface brightness isn't too bad. Decent size. It's an elliptical galaxy, and its distance. And then it also has NGC 311, which is a much dimmer galaxy. And then also NGC 318, which is the dimmest of the trio here. And you can see that the 315 and 311 are real close out there. They're actual together in space. And 318 is farther out. It's another 20 million light years or so farther out. So it's not part of this actual duo. So it's not a true trio of galaxies, but it's a background galaxy. So first, let's talk about the view through the smaller scope. And here's 315 right here. And it showed a slight oval to it, more round, but it did have a slight oval shape to it. A bright little core area, stellar nucleus. And then here, right where the cursor is right here, you see a slight elongation, a little bit brighter, looks like a kind of a fuzzy star. Well, that's NGC 311, and you could it was not hard to see at 13th magnitude, but you know, from this dark site, it's a little tougher even with the 8.2 to see, but it was there. It was a nice view, and then I couldn't see 318 at all at over 14th magnitude. That's beyond this telescope, and certainly at this dark site. And then that second night, though, with a larger telescope and a bit more magnification, and of course better sky conditions, it became, you know, three galaxies then. 315 actually started really well, nice and bright, showed more of an oval shape than it did with the smaller scope. Very vivid bright core area and stellar nucleus. And then here is NGC 311, and that stood out really well. You can see a little stellar nucleus. You can see some elongation to it. So that was no problem. It was easy to see. And then over here, next to this faint field star, I could see a faint round patch, and with actually a little bit bright, not bright, but a little stellar nucleus to it. So that was NGC 318. And you can see here, even though it's 14.2 magnitude, it has a very high surface brightness. That's one thing about galaxies that are, even though the ones that are far out, if they're small, and even if they are like here, 14 plus magnitude, but if they have a high surface brightness, it's almost like seeing a fuzzy 14th magnitude star. So, you know, 14th magnitude star is easy in a 12-inch. So it was no problem to see it. But it made for a really nice view. I really enjoyed this, where you could see the larger galaxy of the two between a much larger galaxy, 315 and 311, and then this background galaxy here of NGC 318. So It was interesting to compare views. You can see the difference between a larger scope of nearly 4 inches more aperture, and also a better dark sight. But I was pleased with the view here from the 8.2, but really it hit home. It was a really nice view here with the 12-inch at a darker sight and better sky conditions. All right, I think I'm going to do this from now on. At the end of the last Galaxy or Galaxies that I viewed for this month, a planned observation for the next Galaxy log for a galaxy that I might be interested in viewing and putting it in Galaxy log. So it'll be Galaxy in Eridanus, which has a lot of galaxies. It's one of those kind of constellations here as northerners wish it was higher in the sky, because there's so many great galaxies in this constellation. You know, it's a large constellation, but it's just, you know, chock full of really nice galaxies. And this one seems to be one of them. But it's not as low in the sky as some of the other great galaxies in this constellation. So it's a little bit farther north. And here in Stellarium Web is a closer view of 1084. And here's a nice photograph of NGC 1084. And you can see it's an inclined spiral. There's a lot of stuff going on in this galaxy. You can see some really nice star clouds, bright nucleus area, and it looks like there's a lot of rapid star formation going on in this galaxy. And I think on a good night, and I think with the 12-inch, I should get maybe some detail out of this, so to play around with the magnification a little bit to see what kind of detail I can pull out of it. It looks like I could probably get some good modeling out of it. So that'll be an interesting challenge. And here's a Hubble Space Telescope image of 1084. Amazing. It is amazing to see a galaxy. It looks like you're hovering above this galaxy, looking down into the spiral of this galaxy. There's a lot of going on in this galaxy. Tremendous, unbelievable image of detail in this galaxy. I'm not saying I'm going to pop out this much detail or even like the previous image of this galaxy, but like I said, it'd be interesting to go for this galaxy and see what can be seen out of it, and hopefully I'll get a clear night in the next dark window, and I'll be able to get a view of 1084 through the 12-inch, and then like I said, down the road, when I get the new 20-inch f3.5, this will definitely be on my list for next fall, because I won't probably be getting the 20-inch till spring sometime. So, but yeah, so this is definitely a galaxy I want to go for with the 12-inch in the upcoming dark window, and hopefully to have it for Galaxy Log. Okay, this is a summary for this Galaxy Log. And first talk about the dark sites. The first dark site that I had from the early November 2nd, with the 8.2 was from the dark site I've been using almost the entire year, which is about a 30-minute drive north of me. And that's a good dark site. It's good elevation. It's almost 1,400 feet. Here's a night view of it from Google Earth. In the area is fairly dark. Elevation helps a lot, and it's also surrounded by a lot of forest. And then on the second night, on the 5th, with the 12-inch, finally got up to my darker site, which is about an hour and a quarter away from home, and good elevation. For this area, it's about 1,800-foot elevation, just about. And here's a nice shot from Google Earth of the area. Pretty dark. And then the telescopes. This is the Bresser 8.2-inch f3.9, and it's on a Dobsonian mount from Astro Goods. And in fact, this was the first pairing I had under the stars when this picture was taken, and that night, and it worked really well. I had the telescope. I was using it on go-to mount previously, and I wanted to turn it into a Dob and make it much easier, quicker setup. I really like the optics in this telescope, even though it's kind of a hybrid for both visual and of course photography. A lot of people use them for photography, but I really like the short tube, the compact tube. It is really nice, and the mount worked really well with it. And it was nice to be able to sit down also on a chair and observe with the telescope. And one of the things that, because I was using it on a go-to mount previously, is I didn't have a finder on it. I just had a Roger Quick Finder to help me zero in to when I was doing getting the mount aligned with the stars. And so I was thinking, okay, well, the Roger Quick Finder is good, and I really do like using it. But to getting to some of these galaxies that might be pretty tough, or other objects, sometimes you just need a finder, and a regular optical finder. And so I figured, well, I put the Roger Finder actually in front of it, and I didn't have the right type of mount for my other finders to match what type of mount is. So I figured, okay, what I can do then is I have an old 42 millimeter GSO, I think it's 60 or 65 degree super wide. And I used it, the eyepiece itself, as a finder in the scope. So the scope became its own finder. So I would get into the area, which is what the Roger Quick Finder is really good at, getting into that area of the sky of where potential galaxy I'm going for. And then I used the eyepiece and the telescope together, which is like 22 magnification, so it's a really nice wide field. So the telescope became its own finder, and it worked. At first, it was a little different because I'm used to using a finder scope, but after a while, it was really easy. And so I may down the line move the Roger Finder and get the right finder foot for this setup here, and have a finder and the Roger Finder also. But for now, this is fun. It worked really well. It worked really well. As they say, practice makes perfect, right? And then for the second night at the darker site, was with my Orion Optics UK 12-inch f4, which I really like this telescope. Amazingly good optics. Really good optics in this telescope. And I do have a Roger Quick Finder on this one, but I also have a regular 8x50 finder on it too, which I really like the combo. And also you can see here's my observing chair, which is nice. The telescope's an f4, it's 12-inch f4, so it's nice and compact, and be able also to sit down and observe through this telescope. As far as eyepieces, I used the Celestron XLs in the 8.2-inch. It seems like with the coma corrector in there, there's a lot of out focus, and some of my more expensive eyepieces I wasn't able to achieve enough out focus for it. So I use these guys. These are actually really nice eyepieces for the price. If you haven't seen through them, really good eye relief. They're very comfortable to use, decent field at 60 degree, and the image quality is pretty darn good. So for the view I had of NGC 7332 and 7339, and the one image, of course, of NGC 315 was with the 8.2-inch f3.9, and using this eyepiece. And then with NGC 108 through the 12-inch f4, a brand new eyepiece. It was actually first light for the eyepiece itself. And it's the APM 3.5 millimeter XWA. And these are really good eyepieces. You know, they compare very well, I think, to the more expensive Teleview brand, the Ethos. And in fact, it was funny. I have also the 5 millimeter, which I purchased a couple of years ago at Northeast Astronomy Forum. It was on sale, and I was very impressed, you know, with the view of them through a variety of my telescopes. And so I thought, yeah, you know what, I wanted to get a 3.5 millimeter, and I was kind of going up between the Modelos, which I really like, and this. And I chose, because of 110 degree field, I chose this and say, what the heck, you know, let's go with this. And I'm glad it performed really well with the 12-inch f4. Really nice, really a great view with the NGC 108 through it, and a variety of other objects that I look using this eyepiece. And then for the NGC 315 Trio, which are all three Galaxies through the 12-inch f4 we're seeing, is my trusty Teleview 6 millimeter Delos, which, as I stated before, is perhaps my favorite eyepiece. This eyepiece is just really, really good. It could be used on nights, even when the scene is a little off, you know, and you can't go too high power, but you still want some magnification. And the clarity and the crispness of this eyepiece is just phenomenal. You know, if you're looking for an eyepiece in this focal range for your telescope, and I know it's a little more pricey than some of the other eyepieces, this is really a good one to go for. It's an excellent eyepiece. It really is. It may be the best eyepiece I've ever owned. So that's it for this Galaxy log. Clear dark skies and happy galaxy observing.